Hello and welcome to Low-Code Campfire. This is episode number 256 for Friday, August 14, 2026. Today's main topic, well, it can be letting ChatGPT query, test, and explore rather. Before we get there, we'll talk about any of your stuff. I am Dale Warner, Head of Support for Plant and App, and this is an event that we do most Fridays where we get together and talk about low code in general, Plant and App in specific, at every skill level from beginner to expert. We record all of these sessions and put them out on YouTube on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/plantandapp. We encourage you to watch each and every episode, maybe multiple times. We run the same agenda week by week. We stop and say hello because we're a friendly group, and then we'll go around the campfire. Anything that you want to talk about, first call is always, and anything that you've submitted in advance is always where we start. But then we'll get into other things like contributions to our community campfire website and well, any other areas around the product. After an hour or so, we go into Afterglow. That's where we turn off the recording, raise a virtual adult beverage, and just chat for a few more minutes offline. So do engage with us. You can submit questions, topics in advance. Send those to support@plantanapp.com. I'll pick them up, do a little bit of research, and put them on the agenda. Hello, one and all.
Hello, Dale.
Good
Hey, Don.
morning.
Hey, Don, Mark. Did either of you come with something that you want to talk about?
I'll just make a quick mention. There's a new YouTube series about DNN demonstrations. Jeremy Ferrance from Acurity, who is a DNN guy, is one of the three people that run it. I don't remember the exact names, but you can find it if you look for DNN demos. I was on it the last one, which was I think they're done the first Friday or something like that. And if you go to YouTube and you look it up, you can find mine. But I talked about the glossary that I have done, and then I made mention about how I've augmented the work using using Plantinap. And that they said, oh, well, that's interesting. Let's see that. And so next month I'll be talking about the augmentation that I did. So I was able to first I tried using the an old extension, an old add-on that uh, I guess it was more. Well, that's one of them. If you scroll down, I just saw you scrolling. The fancy AI picture, anatomy of an Evotiva DNN backup restore, is one of the videos. And during that same, I think it's the same one. Yeah, during that same one, that same show is
Okay.
I did mine. So uh, he might have it listed there. I'm not sure. What they do is they do the whole show and then he splits it up into the various pieces. So it's the DNN show and tell is the name that they call it, I guess. And then mine is my particular one is build a glossary with easy DNN news.
There it is.
Yeah, yeah,
Good.
exactly.
So DNN show and tell. That's a
DNN show and tell.
that's
So
a
that's kind of
great.
fun and definitely, Mark, you do some cool stuff. Maybe you should talk to them about because you were there, I believe, on the during the meeting.
I was there.
But love to have you talk and a few of us should do some more of those things. Um, and of course, putting Plant and App on the show and tell would be great too. Another feather in the cap.
Do we do you happen to know let's see. Um more. Oh, so
Does
just
he have a
wondering
channel?
when it happens, a monthly online party. So we get I guess this is the link
I'm
to
going to
find
double
it.
check. I believe, let's see, I don't recall off the top of my head, but I have it on my
It's coming
calendar
up.
and that
Yeah.
will tell me which one it was.
Yeah, we got a
Um,
couple. Um,
Keep in mind that it alternates times. Every other time it's
yes,
4:30 and then it's in the evening.
right. I do know that we've got, well, actually, I'm pretty sure they're, all over the world. They get folks to jump in and talk. So I can understand adjusting the times. Um, Tuesday the 4th was the day that I did it, which to me that says first Tuesdays is when they do it. And I think that's correct. I think it's always first Tuesdays.
that's what I'm seeing. Yep, first Tuesday. So that's a neat one. Thanks for the heads up to that. I would be uh if my schedule is open for that, I would be interested in listening along and seeing. I think that's good for our community as a whole. So whether we participate or listen in the background, I do want to get involved with that. So thanks.
Exactly, exactly. That's what I see too, is that it's great to have questions tossed at the presenters. Definitely want to do that. And of course, if you're there first person, you hear it first person, you can participate. And then, of course, you could always go and watch it. So,
I'm sorry.
They should
Go and watch it. Yes, after.
yeah, you can.
they
Yeah, you
showed some
can. You could
interest.
always jump on YouTube and watch it. And then Jeremy, when you finish doing your presentation, yeah, he does all the editing work. He goes and basically trims it out of the larger recording that he's done, and then puts that up there. And then he makes those cool AI generated what do you call it? Thumbnails, I guess, the pictures that go on the videos. And mine, he put me in a fancy leather jacket. And he said, I hope that someday you find that jacket and buy it. I said, yes, indeed. That would be great.
Kind of right.
Yeah, just all you do is you see it on the side there because as soon as you click on it, it starts playing, and that happened to be the screen that he started with. So
Yeah,
he doesn't it's not on the
it doesn't hang
it
around, but
yeah,
yep. But
it doesn't
we can
hang
kind of
around.
see you in it there. So very
Yeah, there
nice.
you go. So yeah, very good. You send a picture and then he tells AI, make him look better.
Mark, you were starting to say something?
Yeah, sorry, I had to stop laughing. Yeah, they showed interest in Plant an App. They want to see a demo. Another one.
Well, we would of course be happy to
Oh
participate.
yeah.
So
I would, what I plan to do is show them how I'm using Planet App to augment the thing that I just showed the last time. So I would do that, but giving a lot more of an introductory type of talk on it. They're supposed to be fast. They're like they said 5 minutes, as you could see on the time. That actually you can't see that. Yeah, you can. Mine ended up being 21 minutes, but I talked for 5 minutes, and then they
yeah,
started talking and asking questions and that kind of stuff. So it ends up being
they're intended to be
longer.
quick hits versus our
Right, quick hits
longer
versus a
format
half
stuff.
hour lecture kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, um, great. You'll start seeing me there. That's a good one.
Oh, cool. All right.
I mean, in the audience, if they'll have me, I would certainly present. But yeah. All right, we are still in first call. What else? Hello, Matt.
Nothing for me yet, thank you.
Okay.
I can say one other thing, and that is that we have an election coming up, and 90 days from the election, the counties are supposed to provide the ability to apply for vote by mail. And we being Sprocket has a number of counties that use a Plantain app derived vote by mail application system, and one is more complex than the other, but they all basically do the same thing. and then and that is Plant an App, and that just started a week and a half ago. Of course, just prior to the launch. The mechanism, I put a mechanism in there, and I've asked the question here at a campfire. I put a mechanism in that won't allow somebody to fill it out. They won't see it if it's prior to the date. And
Hmm.
then as soon as it is on the and of course having text to that effect, um, and making it so that the administrators, the county clerks and assistant clerks, can go in and put in the appropriate dates, like after an election is done, to get the next dates plugged in for when it's available to be seen. And of course, there's only a window prior to the election where you can apply. So those dates, when to show the form, when to hide the form, and then the election itself, and those kind of, and then what's the next one, because the language needs to explain that to people that if they miss it, then they can still apply for the permanent status, and then you will get something for the blank 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 election upcoming, and that date they put that in too. So there's a management page for them, and that is of course Plan an App too, where they fill in fields for those things, and then we store those and save those. So a cool application, and it's up and running, and some folks are going to be able to vote thanks to Plan an App.
Well, so first, thanks for spotlighting your app. I know you've talked about pieces of that before, but and second, when you started out, there's an election coming up. I thought you were about to move into politics.
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah, yeah, we're politic neutral here on Low-Code Camp.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to start talking then, finding stuff to talk about. Um, we could dig more into last time we did some on the horizon, we did autosave draft, and I will just tell you that some of the things that we talked about last week made it into the specifications for the product, specifically about how we deal with fields that uh, don't need to be part of an autosave. So we got to figure out what to do. I'm not saying promising it's going to be in there as a feature, but at least we're thinking about it. So it really helps that you let me talk about this stuff and think it through. Um, so on community forum, let's take a look at that. I'm going to leave them the meetup thing there. Okay. So I can find my way back to it later. Community.planetapp.com has a forum, and so we have some things that have been posted since the last time. Um, we had a user that was trying to get a particular file type accepted into DNN, and that is really more of a technical question, not uh, but at least it was a nice, easy one, and telling where it goes, where to go to turn it on or allow. So just for those who don't know, DNN controls what file extensions are allowed, and you can if you decide that you want to whitelist something that or allow things that are not on the default list, this is the place to do it. So it's a quick security question. And yeah, so we're glad to be able to help when things like that. But and then we had a question from Aaron, who was presented with DNN with Plantanet before, uh, talking about an older version of action forms and a compatibility issue with that. So um, I don't know that there's much much to learn from, but at least a little activity happened on the community portal. Thank you all for following along, and I know some of you answer sometimes when those things come up. Um, I managed to put a couple of things into Campfire yesterday, and also we had some people just as a reminder, campfire.plantanapp.com is the official website for this uh, function that we're here today, and you can join, and the intention is that we can publish things that are useful techniques and reusable techniques. And so when you're faced with having to do something within your project, and if you know about Campfire, you can look up things and reuse things. And but you have to be an approved member. We got at least one new approved member this week. Somebody asked for access, and anybody can participate in that. You just have to pinky swear that you're not going to break things because we give you low-code engineer access into the site so that you can see behind how things are put together. Anyway, so I've added two more things. One is a little bit of a rerun, but something that I've done before, but in a different form, so you might find it useful. I put together a workflow that allows you to inquire about the schema uh, of your database. So, for example, if you get this form exercises a workflow behind the scenes. Um, I'll just mention prior, there's another contribution that has some SQL that does essentially the same thing, but the that's intended. You put the SQL into SQL console, and you can get an export of your database schema. This is a workflow, so potentially you could use it for other things. Go get this information for me, and then you're going to iterate through the JSON that gets restored. Anyway, so if you want all of the schema in the app, so this is every table, that's the wildcard in the app domain. You'll get a nice JSON structure that says the database name, the namespace, the table name, every field name, how it's structured. So it's an easy way to go out and get all your field names in a consumable way. If you only wanted to pick one table, for example, maybe I only want to do the app question um, namespace, excuse me, table name, then doing it this way, passing in app and app question will give you that. Same way you could go to DB, DBO and do the users table and get all the structure of the users table. So hopefully that'll be um, helpful to somebody. The we
Yes.
we have a video that explains the same thing. It's a 3-minute video, and then the workflow, assuming you're logged into the Campfire website, this shows you the structure of it. So uh, this would be really the thing that you'd want, grabbing the workflow, exporting it, and putting it on your system. But it just has two inputs, the app and the namespace and the table name, and the output is some database schema JSON. So if we were to test this, any table that has question as part of the name, and so that now we see the output of it. So just very straightforward. Um, so hopefully you can find use for that. Comments before I move on?
Well, besides
That looks
thank you.
very,
Yeah,
very useful. Thank you.
I do this all the time.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And then the other one, and I again, this is a little bit random, but the idea here is that I've created a workflow that lets you make a backup of a table. So if you're going to do something on a table and you want a little safety net, you can create a backup on a table. So for example, it has two operations, create or delete backup. So creating a backup on DBO users gives you a success indicator and also a message that it happened. And if we look behind the scenes, if we were to open, take a look at SQL console, we would see that there is now a backup. So there's a user's backup, and it's populated with the data. And if we use the delete backup on the same thing, it will now be gone. So if we look at do the same search here, it's not present anymore. So just a quick way to through a workflow that you can make a backup of something, and it's a little bit forgiving or give some pretty good messages. So if we create a backup, that's fine. If you do it again, it will just recreate it. So you don't have to make sure that you're deleting before you create. If you delete, it says it's deleted successfully. If you try and delete again, it'll tell you it's successful, but that it doesn't exist. So either way, just kind of and then if the table doesn't exist, I guess that's another thing that, yeah, or you try and create a backup of a table that doesn't exist that'll show false, it doesn't work. So gives you some quick indications. And again, this is just a workflow that accepts, in this case, three inputs: the operation and database name and table name, and the output is the success and the message. And it's just I've been doing documentation in a notes and the SQL here that does the work. So again, hopefully you can find some use for that. At least know that it's out there.
I was doing some Chat GPT. Actually, I believe it was Claude, but I was doing some work where I wanted Claude to do some database creation, and that would have been very helpful at the time.
Good.
I'm sure I will do it again. So, yes.
All right. While we're talking about common techniques, is there I'd be happy. I'm going to invest some more time in this before next week. I would be happy to take recommendations for things you might find useful. And I know I'm springing that on you, so if there's nothing that comes to mind, but you think about it in the week, some kind of general utility kind of thing that would be useful in your life, feel free to email me at that same email address, and if I have the time, I will get it done.
I had a slight palpitation when you clicked the delete backup, and then I looked at the table name and it said users. I said, oh,
Yeah.
you're going to delete the user table instead of deleting the user backup table. Um, but the thing that would, if you, as long as you're offering, what about the restore function?
Um, yeah, that's a little bit more. I mean, I get it, but it's a little bit more scary, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
there's some there might be some complexity. For example, there's some of the um, on some tables um, would not. I'm concerned about the keys. That's what I'm trying to get to, like the IDs. If I deleted out all the, delete and replace versus um, update. I don't think it's a one size fits all thing. So this is like giving you the safety net, but not. Um, I think you have to decide how you're going to restore and whether it's partial or full or whatever.
Well, at least the data is there. That's very true. That's the key thing. Now, at least you can try to figure out how to put it back.
So Don, your heart palpitation thing was one that I kind of anticipated that or had the same thing. Originally, I did this as a create and a delete because it was all about backups. And so, but it was uncomfortable to click delete and DBO and users. It you it gave you the idea that what am I doing here? So this I changed the name of the operation to delete backup, so it was very, very clear. And yeah, this thing only operates on a suffix of underscore backup. So it's destructive to the underscore backup, but not the original table.
Yep, yep.
So reasonably safe. I mean, unless you have tables in your system that have the underscore backup, which could then be, you know, annoying. But anyway, all right.
For me, what I would do then is I would, when I typed in something into that table field, right below it, I would say this will create or delete and then show the name underscore backup. And then I
Yep.
always know that, yep, I'm not going to destroy something.
Yep.
Cool.
But this is, again, implemented as a workflow, so you can do with it what you will, whether it's just stuff that you do internally or something that you might reveal. Hey, I want to do a backup of my. You might have a set of tables, and you could do them all in one button, right? Back up this, back up that, back up the other, and just do. And
Oh, yeah.
yep. Of course, you should have system-wide backups, but this is kind of gives you the ability to do logical backups. So or backups of at a point in time of specific tables that are likely to be impacted. Anyway, little safety net. Um, so I'm happy to talk about what you want to, but I brought something here that I thought was very interesting in my life this week. So I'm going to go on to that. Stop me unless if you're not ready. Here we go.
No, this
Uh,
sounds neat.
I did some stuff in Chat GPT that I really thought was useful. Um, of course, I tested this out before, and before I did this, but
I had a little trouble with ChatGPT yesterday. In my case, I restarted ChatGPT and it worked better for me.
um, so now maybe I broke something. Transcripts. No, 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 not, yeah, it doesn't matter. Configuration. So what I've done is wired ChatGPT to this test database. I mean, there's a whole different topic of whether you want to wire it to your production database. But this is a test database, and uh, this is it was trying to run a query for me and failing. Um, so I wonder why it was working. Um, let's see if it's working at all. Uh, so I have an entity called applicant. So if I first of all, we can see what it's trying to do. And now I'm going to have to change my API key. Oh, no, it's truncated. Nope. I'm going to have to change my API key or blur out this session. I'll change my API key. Interesting. So let's do, you said restart. How did you restart? Just start a new chat? Mark?
I'm using the desktop application, so I closed it and reopened it. Maybe you would close your tab.
Maybe.
So you're allowing ChatGPT to call APIs? Is that how you connected it?
To it, I've built an API that will let it run a select query, and then and it's protected by an API key, so only ChatGPT can do it. The query, we can look at the API that I'm giving it, but it's limiting it specifically to a select query. You can't change data. But yes, I'm letting it do that.
Okay.
Give it something hard to do. So if I look in my logs here, we should see where it's interacting with and trying to get, it's using datetime relative to do this. Anyway, I enabled two different things. One is the ability for it to evaluate tokens, and the other is the ability for it to do the a SQL query, a SQL select, and both of those things have been very handy in trying to um, help understand how to do tokens and to help understand what's in my database. And in my earlier session, and I'm now tempted to look at my history since ChatGPT was not. Yeah, this is the yeah, here we go. So this was the earlier conversation and where it worked perfectly out of the box. And I was asking questions like, what table in my database has the most records? And it told me exactly which ones and how many records. And it was, but of course, when you do it for live, then it, it chokes anyway. Um, So this conversation was really quite interesting to me to be able to say, okay, where's all my space being taken up in my database and how much space is it? And finding tables that have no records and just kind of database administration work um, without having to do the grunt work. So that was interesting to me. For
That is interesting to me too.
So Dale, to enable that though, what you did is created an API specific to Chat GPT to allow Chat GPT to connect to your database and run queries against it. Selects.
correct,
Okay.
correct. So starting with token, I mean, there's only two APIs here, but yes, then from a big picture, I poked holes in, you know, opened up an API that would let anybody run an API to either, in this case, evaluate a token. And so if you knew this was here and had the rights to do so, you could evaluate a token. And then separately, and I'll show you that in a second, I went to ChatGPT and in the model said, uh, here's an API that you have permission to use. And you have to do some describing of what that API looks like to ChatGPT, and then it will then be enabled to call. So in my case, I'm doing tokens in SQL, but you could enable any API that would give knowledge to your chat. So this is the one that I'm using currently. It has an input parameter of whatever you want to evaluate. So this is a post, and you send it an evaluate parameter. So then I'm logging what we're evaluating and just doing a create update token against evaluate to come out with evaluated, and then returning that as JSON. So from a Plantain app perspective, you can pass anything. And you'll get back an evaluated token. So now once you enable, I mean, whether you tell somebody, just like any other API, right? It's published and another system can take advantage of it. In this case, ChatGPT is taking advantage of it. So that's one. And then the other one, the SQL one, more locked down, looks like this. It is a host, and it accepts a select statement. And in the actions, aside from logging, it is creating it. You pass it a select, excuse me, you pass it everything after the select. So we're forcing it down the path of doing a select statement. If it wanted to be malicious, it could probably, do some semicolons and find a way around uh, this. So again, I wouldn't enable this on a production system, but then I'm creating a list from using that SQL command, the SQL, and returning it back as JSON. So it's so I'm enabling being able to do, again, stuff like that. So the API is enabled on this side. On the GPT side, the GPT that I'm working with has an action associated with it, and the action has you have to provide a schema, what it is and what it does, and you have to describe it well to ChatGPT, examples and things like that. However, this is a lot less complex to describe than you would think, because you can use AI to get this done. So back to here. If you have this thing, and I'm gonna test it here. we get some sample code. We give you the sample code to do the thing that you want to do. And so you can use Chat GPT to say, and it'll develop what you need. So any API that you have that you want to open up, in this case to ChatGPT, you can do it pretty straightforward with getting that definition and getting ChatGPT to write up the YAML. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that.
What is YAML?
A descriptive.
Relative to the camel.
Mm-hmm.
It's I didn't do the research on it. As apparently is a standardized language for describing, in this case, Open API. So AI letting me hit above my weight class. That's what it amounts to. So you feed that to ChatGPT, and then it knows it can use that in your conversations. And so what it mean if you and put another way, if you had a knowledge base of information and you wanted to make it available selectively to um, you know you can get records out of my knowledge base by using this API that then uh, now now you could chat and it could retrieve information to enhance the conversation that you're having. Thank you, Mark.
I just looked up YAML, and it's YAML ain't markup language,
Uh-huh.
which
Exactly.
is recursal for it originally was yet another markup language, which what I kind of guessed, but now that I looked it up, it's a superset of JSON. So that's interesting.
Okay. So I thought that might be something that you could take advantage of, and to the degree that you're working with AI to be able to enhance your AI's functionality.
That spurs quite a lot of thoughts on what we could do with that.
Yes, it does. In my case, I am using this to, I mean, we've talked about the idea of Plantain app being able to write some code, and I found that I needed write Plantain app code, and I found that it was far more handy to let AI explore and try things rather than it saying, well, try this. And then I would give it the answer. And so specifically, let's talk about the tokens. Uh, I wanted to completely document how to do the date time tokens because there's lots of uh, permutations that are possible with the date time tokens. And it came up with 78 test cases that it wanted to know how to do date-time tokens, and letting it directly explore, pass the tokens into AI and see what, excuse me, into Plantain app and getting the result back. It could learn much faster how date-time tokens work, and so rather than having to go through me having to come up with rules and explanations, it was just by experience it now knows how to do date-time tokens. So I'm on a path to try to make make those things available as a resource. And long way to go, but I've started, and I have AI helping me.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting topic in that I have been using AI of late to I've got a bunch of workflows in my system that, I wrote quite a while ago, and I've essentially exported them. I've added a notes field, action at the beginning of each API, at each workflow. I export the workflow to, in this case, Claude, and I say, basically, take a look at it and provide HTML output for documentation for that workflow. So it looks at the workflow, examines it, makes suggestions as to improvements and/or errors, and then creates an HTML output document, which I then cut and paste and put in my in that notes action. And now I've got a completely documented workflow that many times I've made improvements on based on the suggestions from AI. Very helpful.
I think that's one of the amazing use cases for AI in what we do. That workflows can get big and complex, or even, I mean, it doesn't even have to be that big, but just being able to open your workflow 6 months later. I mean, documentation is always the thing that is last, right?
Yeah.
First, you got to make it work, uh, and to spend the time to document. I mean, so what you're talking about, for example, how long does it take for you to document a workflow this way?
This way? Well, previously it took me zero time because I didn't do it. But
Exactly.
now it takes minutes, just a few minutes. You add the notes, export the whole workflow, give it the instructions, and then if you're doing one right after the other, it knows what it did and didn't do correctly last time, so you save on a whole bunch of time. So it's minutes per.
Yeah. Uh, and whether you're writing for yourself or someone else, to come out with a fully documented workflow or action stack or whatever you're doing is, I mean, it's just part of the work product that would be very hard to get, or it was as I say, the last thing before, and now it can be right as part of the work. It's no big deal.
Yep.
I love it for that. All right, we're in search of a 10-minute topic, or we're ending early.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. I think I have something. We were just talking about how ChatGPT was helping you with the tokens, which you were wondering about datetime functions, and I noticed something strange. And I started the thing with the vote by mail system and having a check to make sure that it's ready, or we're able to show it. And I tried. My first thought was, if datetime now is before the show the form time, then don't show the form, right? But datetime now gave me a time that was 5 hours off, whereas datetime relative 0 days gave me the exact time. And so I guess I don't understand what datetime is doing.
Okay. So great question. Let's look at it. And so techniques, what you can do. So first of all, I am in Central Time, and it is in fact giving me Central Time. But this is this can be dependent, and if you look on learn.planetapp.com, it explains some of that. Let's see if I can find it in configuration, tokens, core tokens, date time. this is relative to the user's preferred time zone, which is a DNN profile thing. So different people see different. I mean, if you set your time, I believe it is correct that if you set your time zone to um, California, that daytime now would give a different answer for that person in my user settings. Where's the user? Let's see what I have here. Profile. Preferences. See, I'm set to Central Time, US and Canada. I think if I change this to a different time, I'm going to move to Hawaii and update. Here again, I'm doing things live and who knows whether I'll come up with the right answer, but of course not. But this is part of the trickiness of the datetime tokens and I would read carefully in the documentation. I tried to capture all of this. What's the when it's there's portal time gets involved and user preferred time. It can be a little bit complex. Let's see. Okay, here it is. Users, if a user context is given, it'll be in the preferred, and if not, it'll be the site settings time zone. So you can get different answers based on the settings of your DNN site, and then I think sometimes the server time plays in, right? Your server might be defined as being in UTC or being in some other time zone. So the thing that you mentioned is kind of a common thing. So then the datetime tokens allow some play for this, which is this version where you can specify a time zone and get it, make sure you get it where you want it. And so, for example, you can do this. Use the ISO time and then get central time. And so now you can be certain where it's going to come out, right? So starting from a guaranteed CEC is probably from my experience, ISO returns the um, the UTC time, an agnostic time that you can work from, right? So,
Well, when deadlines approach, you usually go with what is working. And what was strange to me, looking back at it, was that if you ask the date time now, and then you ask daytime relative to 0 days, those in my mind are equivalent, but they did give different answers, so they behave differently.
let's see.
Yeah.
So,
Because where it says -7 days over there, I just had
yes,
0 days.
right. So this these examples assume UTC time. This is the day that I documented this, right? So 11:29 p.m. and daytime as UTC time. And so this is returning a UTC time. It's basing on uh,
Hmm.
ah, well, you just said, and let's
Right.
of course, daytime is always complex. You thought this was a 10-minute topic. It's never a
I
10-minute.
did. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, this is for you. It's giving you a UTC 3:56 p.m.
so this might be it might be server time. It really it's a little bit slippery. So for your server, your mileage may value for your server wherever it lives and all the different settings. There's server time. I'll just mention there's server time. There's DNN site preference. There's user preference, and it makes it a little bit hard to get to. But if you can find one, and I think maybe you guys can test on your servers. I think datetime ISO for all of us would return this value essentially through. Um, I mean, now it's off, but 15:57, 3 minutes till. But I think datetime ISO will, to my knowledge, be a universal time that would be common on all systems. So then, if you use it as part of a convert with a time zone, you're going to get a guaranteed standard. And then from there,
Hey Dale, would you post those, copy those tokens and post them so I'd like to test them.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to go play now. I think obviously, or I should say apparently, um, the various DNN and server settings are different. And of course, since I'm helping several counties with this, they're all working. So apparently, well, first of all, they're all on the same server. Um, so I mean, they're all in the same location,
Yep,
multiple servers, same location. So uh, they
Yeah, but
probably
exactly.
all are setting similarly.
yeah, it would be interesting, Don, for a test standpoint, to change your time zone preference to see if now these are not logged in users or they are logged in users.
They are not logged in users, and but there is a load user. So we have a Planet App developer user that we use to get at stuff for a general purpose form.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to try this and then change your time zone like Dale did, but probably you need to refresh your clear the cache or maybe even restart the app to get valid input. Because I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the future you might run into some weird either a form being available too early or not early enough because of something like this.
Yes, exactly.
Did anyone else try these tokens? My question is really this one,
I did, and what I got looks remarkably, it's similar to yours. I ran it later.
right? Yeah, but it's 15 something.
Yeah, 15. Let's see. Hold on.
Now it's 16.
All right, let me run it again
Yep.
right now. Um, no, I'll post my results back. Interesting. Okay, I just reran those 3 tokens.
Yeah, so you're getting 12.
Yeah,
So is not guaranteed to be uh but the uh interesting, the ISO, when you converted it to Eastern Standard Time, gave you the same thing that I did. So if it appears that the combination, oh, your ISO time, okay, I am +0, you are -4. So you're getting it is essentially the same time being expressed in a different way. So I'm going to go back to ISO is going to uh, it reflects what used to be called GMT, right? Or
Greenwich Mean Time.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so if you use, my working theory is if you use ISO as a locked down, this is the actual time, and then put it into a time zone with the convert, that you will get the same answer every time.
Right, but what I don't understand here, Dale, is when you just look at the second token date time ISO, my results and your results seem to be quite a bit different.
Um,
Because your second value is T16, mine is T12. So,
okay, so
okay.
but notice that yours has the minus 400 or minus
Right, right.
4 hours. So
Yeah.
it it's if you break it down, they are the exact same answer. And just for fun, and because I'm all about the fun. So mine returns, and I don't know why mine returns. I'm I'm going to make a guess. My server time is almost certainly set to UTC. What's your server time set to?
That's a good question, Dale. Now would that be in the actual DNN settings no, that would be in
No,
the
I'm
server.
talking about if you were to look at
My server, I'm pretty sure is Central Time.
okay. So
But
I wish I knew. It's complex. And I will tell you that I've spent more time in my time working at Plantain App when you have all these things that mostly just work for date and time. International date and time will just give you a headache. So all these things come into play: server time, how you express it. It just makes me a little bit crazy.
Well, I will go back and look, find out what the server time is. Probably not going to change it
Right.
because it'll probably break a whole bunch of other things. But it, and at
But
least I know where these particular forms are to go in and double check things or set them right. But I'll also look at the DNN site and the user preference throughout this particular form and try to figure this out.
so uh, I'll say again, I think this particular construct where you use ISO and then and convert to make sure that you get a time if you need a specific time zone, I believe that to be solid, regardless of who's looking at it and where they're looking at it. Um, so if anybody has contrary information, I would very much want it to um, try to improve my understanding of how we present this.
Yeah, yeah. I'm wondering when you say ISO, are you saying that the date time function, whatever code underneath is doing, is going out to some known service, or is it using something as its base? And that
I
something could be the
suspect
server.
I suspect it's using server time, and the server and in that the server knows its
Assuming
time
that, yeah,
and
assuming the server
and it's
time is correct.
yeah, whether it's set to, I mean, assuming yes, you set a server time, you set it to whether you set it to a time zone or not, the the server understands uh, relative to, I mean, it's the right time relative to GMT, right? I don't know
Exactly,
how to
yeah.
express that. So
Whoever created the server set the time right.
yes, and assuming that to be true, then I think our tokens will resolve uh, reliably to a particular time zone or to ISO will return UTC. And if that, or rather GMT. So if someone finds me wrong on that, I would love to know. because try to support this and try to give accurate answers. Hopefully, I am. All right, so that's the fun that we can have in exploring Plantain App. And those of you who are watching in replay, you really, I can't imagine why you would want to miss this live. Anyway, we will do it all over again 1 week from today. Thanks for coming, and yeah, have a good weekend.